Stepping like them native foes, poking out the side. Jump my deuce up to the sky as I continue to swing real wide. Swing real wide. Swing real wide. Real wide.
So you want to become an expert at shooting dice. Well, this video is going to take you to that next level. Before we get started, I want to say thank you to everyone who subscribed to my channel. We just hit 1,000 subs and I'm very grateful for all y'all support. I'm going to be dropping a lot of new content, so stay tuned. So this is part 3 on how to shoot dice. If you haven't seen part 1 and part 2, I'm gonna need you to go to my channel and watch those before continuing this video. Because without that information, it's going to be difficult for you to understand what I'm trying to teach you today. So I rounded up a few of my good friends to help assist me in these lessons. First up, we got Gengar. He been sliding through Palatown hitting licks all 2020, so you know he got his bread up. Next up, we got Tommy. Tommy just became the White Ranger, so he turned up. He renegotiated his contract and he flexing big endorsement money right now. And last but not least, my boy Peter Panda. He just got back from China. You know what I'm saying? He been getting to that Forex money. He's stacking his pips to the ceiling and it looks like he's ready to double up. So the first thing I'm gonna teach you about is how the dice move. In part 1, I showed you how to decide who goes first if there's 2 people playing. But in this setting, there's a lot more people playing, so it resembles more what a real neighborhood dice game will look like. There can be as many players as you want participating. So who goes first? Whoever pulls out the dice goes first. Then everyone will sit in a circle, and every time the shooter sevens out, the dice will rotate clockwise. That means the shooter who sevens out, when he loses, he passes the dice to the left. But if you ain't feeling this, and y'all get to arguing about who goes first, you can always use the method in part 1. But since you got a lot of people playing, it's gonna take a minute. But hey, it's your life, do as you please. You could paper, rock, scissors that shit, I don't give a fuck. There's a lot of money to be made as an opponent, so it really doesn't matter if you get the dice in your hand or not. Usually what I'll see is the 2 most dominant males in the circle, whether that be whoever is the most financially comfortable that day, or whoever's just constantly playing dice all day and all night, they will be the ones arguing about who goes first. So usually each one of them will get a dice and they'll either roll high or roll low to decide who goes first. But that's the least important part of the game. Okay, so let's refresh our memory a bit. On the first roll, if you get a 7 or if you get an 11, that's an automatic win. You win the money and you keep the dice. On the first roll, if you get a 2, a 3, or a 12, that's an automatic loss. You lose the money, but you still keep the dice. Now on the first roll, if you get a 4, a 5, a 6, an 8, a 9, or a 10, then that's your point. So you have to hit your point again without hitting a 7. If you're able to hit your point again, then you win the money and you keep the dice. But if you hit a 7 before you're able to hit your point number again, that's called 7 out, and you will lose the money and you will lose your dice. So let's do a couple rolls just to jog our memory. I put up 20. Say Peter Panda wants to fade me. He's gonna put up 22. I'm going first. I got the dice in my hand. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's a 5. So now my point is a 5. So in order to win, I have to hit a 5 again before I hit a 7. Oh, that's a 7. That means I 7'd out and I lost. So this money goes to my boy Peter Panda. I lose the dice. All right, so now Gengar has the dice in his hands. I just passed the dice because I 7'd out. Peter Panda took my money. So now Gengar's about to shoot. I am obligated to bet Gengar because I just passed him the dice. So, no matter what happens on the side, I bet Gengar and he's going to bet me back. Just so we can keep the dice game rolling. Ooh, I'm Gengar, so let's see what happens. 4. Okay, so now Gengar's point is a 4. That's a 5. That doesn't mean anything. That's a 6. That doesn't mean nothing. That's a 4. So Gengar wins. What Gengar wants to do is pick up his money first and then put the dice in his hands. So Gengar is still going to leave $20 out there to start a new game. So whoever wants to take that bet is going to bet him. So say my boy Peter Panda wants to take that bet. He put up 20 against Gengar. Gengar gets to rolling again because it's still his dice. So let's see what happens. That's a 9. So now Gengar's point is a 9. That's a 12. That doesn't mean anything. That's a 7. Gengar 7 out. So he has to pass the dice to the left, which is to Tommy now. So now Tommy has the dice and Peter Panda won this bet. Man, Peter Panda just coming up in the game, man. That boy stacking his bread. He's obligated to bet Tommy. So he puts his money out there and Tommy is gonna match his bet. Oh, that boy leaning. That boy drank too much syrup. All right, so Tommy has the dice now, so let's see what happens. 4. So now Tommy's point is a 4. He has to hit a 4 again without hitting a 7 to win his bet. That's an 11. That doesn't mean anything. Okay, that's a 7. So he loses, and he's going to have to pass the dice to Peter Panda. So Gengar wins that money. Tommy loses his dice. He passes them to Peter Panda. And now Tommy is obligated to bet Peter Panda because he just passed the dice. So Tommy is going to put his bet out there. He's going to bet 20. Peter Panda is going to put his money out. He's going to bet 20. So let's see what happens. Peter Panda has the dice now and he's going to start shooting. Oh, that's a 7. My boy Peter Panda finna act a fool. He picks his money up first. And whoever wants to match his bet that he left out there will match him and he will roll again. So I'm going to match Peter Panda. I'm going to match him $20 and he's going to roll again. So, okay, so Peter Panda, he's on a roll. Oh, 6. Okay, so his point is a 6. That's a 5. That's a 10. That's an 8. 6 and 8 running mates. That's a 3. That's a 6. Okay, just like I said, 6 and 8 running mates. So Peter Panda hit his point before hitting a 7, so he wins again. He takes his money first, and then he leaves a 20 out there to match somebody else. So the dice are still his. He takes the dice back and waits for somebody else to match. Okay, so Gengar is going to match him this time. He's going to put up 20 to match him. Still my boy Peter Panda's roll because he haven't lost yet. Okay, so that's a 5. That's a 9. That doesn't mean nothing. His point is a 5. That's a 6. That's a 4. Oop. That's a 6. He's looking for that big 5. That's an 11. That's an 8. That's a 7. Okay, so that's a 7. So Peter Panda just 7 out. He loses his money and the dice come back to me. So it's my turn to shoot. And Peter Panda is obligated to bet me because he just passed the dice to me. And that's how this works. So he's going to bet me $20. I'm going to match his $20 and we're going to see what happens. Okay, so that's an 11. So Since 11 was rolled on my first roll, that's an automatic win for me. I pick up my money and I leave $20 out there for whoever wants to bet me next. So Tommy said give him some action. He wants to match my 20. He's going to match my 20. I'm going to roll again because I just won my previous hand. That's a 7. Okay, so I win this money again. I get my money and I leave my 20 out there. And it's still continuously my turn as many times as I keep winning. You don't pass the dice until you 7 out or until you lose all of your money. And just remember, when it's your turn to pass the dice, you are obligated to bet the next shooter, but there's not a required amount of money for you to bet. We've just been betting 20s right now because that's what we got. That's what we're working with. We got 20s and 10s. But it's not a requirement for you to bet $20 when you pass the dice to the next shooter. You can bet $10, $5, $50, $100, $1,000. Depending on what stakes y'all are playing, just try to gauge the room the best that you can, because that's nothing but a courtesy bet. That bet just keeps the game going and it keeps the dice rolling. I like to call that bet a don't be a hoe bet. Just don't be a hoe. Just bet the next shooter and don't be a hoe. Just keep an eye for what everybody else is betting when they pass the dice and just bet around them same denominations. You'll be fine.
It ain't nothing like them native foes poking out the side. Jump my deuce up to the sky as I continue to swing real wide. Swing real wide. Swing.